Today on The Necessary Entrepreneur, we welcome Don Oeters, former owner of Watson's right here in Cincinnati, Ohio. Currently, Don is the president at EnterTRAINment Junction, voted Ohio's best family entertainment center. EnterTRAINment Junction is similar to an indoor theme park featuring the largest indoor train display in the United States, also a railroading museum and play center for kids that draws over 125,000 visitors annually from all 50 states and dozens of countries around the world. In this episode, we talk about growing up without money, growth opportunities, finding better ways of doing things, that's always helpful, continuing to learn, and dealing with issues head on. Don also talks about the process of buying Watson's, picking the right business partner, his fascination with trains, and what he would do if he were starting a new business in 2024. Stick around as Don offers his best advice for success that anyone can apply to their lives. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, if you're in the area, stop by and check out the largest model train display in the nation at EnterTRAINment Junction. You have a awesome last name. It's German, right? That's where it's from.
That's correct.
And so I read this the first time I met you today. Dave set the interview and the conversation up, and I was like, hey, I'm just going to call him Don, right? And so it's Oeters, and we pronounce it
Oeters.
I'll tell you what, man, you're a unique man already with just the name. So with a name like that, you probably find yourself in this conversation. What's this heritage from Germany? Where's that start? From your grandparents, parents?
No, my grandparents. Yes. My mom's side was English. My dad's side was German.
When did they come over? When did they cross the pond? Do you know?
No, going back in one of those
Genealogy?
Yes. My grandparents came over when they were very young.
Okay.
So I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah. It sounds like on my maternal side, my grandpa's German, last name Stahl, right? And his parents came over here and went to Boone County, Kentucky, in what I believe is right around the turn of the century, 1900. Maybe it's the same type of time frame. It seems like there was a ton of immigration happening then. How our country was growing, it was wild.
Right.
This was the West.
Yep.
Cincinnati and this part of the Midwest now was the West. Big, big city. I think if you look at the history of our awesome city, Cincinnati, it was the 5th and then the 7th largest city in the country. It was significantly impactful with transportation and the river and moving of goods.
The meat packing, pork, food, yes.
Yep. Did you go back into that history of the time you've been on this earth and here in Cincinnati? Do you go back and is that important to you? Do you think about those things?
I've read about Cincinnati. Matter of fact, I'm sure we'll get into it later, but Cincinnati, when you were talking about being like the 5th largest or whatever, what changed was the railroads. Chicago took over from Cincinnati due to the railroads expansion through our country.
Yep. And really what set us, we had the river going through us, right?
Yes.
So the river was the transportation hub before the railroads.
Correct.
And then they bypassed us.
Right.
But you know what? I'm okay with it because I was talking to someone last night that I was having a conversation with about coming and working with my real estate company. And they said they're not from here. They were from California. And then they went to school at the University of Alabama and moved here. And she said that, I love this city. And it's just the right size. We have 2.2 million people in the MSA. We have everything, but we don't have the problems of the biggest cities.
Correct.
It feels great.
I agree with you.
Right?
I agree.
And so I think, today you've done a lot of good things. You worked for a company called Watson's, who means a lot to this city for a long time. Then became the president. That's a big title, Don. And then you're wearing a shirt that has EnterTRAINment Junction. I'm excited to talk about that because you're very passionate about trains.
Right.
And then you also have an escape room business.
I did.
You did.
COVID took care of it.
Okay, I bet it did. I'm a guy that one of the things that drives me crazy is I tend to have some claustrophobia at times. Put me in an elevator, put me in a tight space. So I've never done an escape room thing.
It was actually a funny thing. They obviously just came out of nowhere. New York City was one of the earliest. Went up and sort of investigated, came back, and so we were the first one in Cincinnati. This was, at least 8, 9 years ago. And then I think there was about 30 of us.
Out of nowhere.
And with COVID and obviously all this stuff, I had an opportunity to basically get out very nicely. Somebody wanted the building. And so we just called it quits. But it was a great business, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
People love it. And there's still quite a few of them around. There's probably at least 4 or 5 of them still around in Cincinnati.
Is there a panic button for those claustrophobic people like me?
You can get out of the door by hitting I can't speak for everyone.
Yeah.
But yes, we hit a button, you pushed it, it unlocked the door, and you could leave anytime you wanted, even if it was locked.
To never show my face again.
Yes.
Were there some of me out there? Were there some folks like me that...
I don't remember anybody ever doing it.
Well, maybe I could have been the first.
Yeah.
So you have a long history of business in this city. And we were talking a little bit before we jumped on. And you're like, are we recording a couple times, right? I said, no, we're not recording yet, Don. But talk about, you were sharing with me a story of when you became an employee at Watson's. And it was a name before that. But you talked about when maybe things were slow and you were a 100% commissioned salesperson. And you talked about painting some bathrooms. And I said, wait a minute, let's jump on here and get this thing rolling and start having some conversation. It seems to me that you're a principled guy. This hard work and work ethic means something to you. Commitment and all-in attitude. Go the extra mile and do more than you're paid for because more opportunities will show up.
Correct.
Right?
I believe that.
Yeah. It seems like also you're a person that if you were to give you shared this a little bit too, if you were to give some advice to younger generations coming up, hey, do more than you're paid for.
Right.
Right?
Actually, to go back further, when I was in high school, over at Anderson Township, Anderson High School, my first job was selling candy in a candy store. It was a national company, and I started at $1.65 an hour. After a year, the manager actually had quit, and they promoted me as the youngest manager in the national franchise or national whole crew of the candy company. It was called Barricini Candy. They went bankrupt. And I was all the way up to $2.35 an hour. And that was a great experience. I thought to myself at the time, well, I would like to be a district manager or then go to a zone manager. And I saw opportunity. And what I didn't see is the company went bankrupt nationally, and I didn't have a job. So I collected $35 a month unemployment. But
well, you were hitting it big, weren't you?
and that's why I would go into to college at University of Cincinnati. So I did need a job, okay, because I had to pay my way, and so I commuted because I couldn't afford anything else. And so what happened is I applied for a bunch of jobs. I even applied for the warehouse job, part-time. And at the time, back in 1973, Watson's actually was called Pool City at the time. They wanted me as a salesperson, not for warehouse. And so I took it. I was working part-time in the beginning because I was still in college, and then went full-time as soon as the college was over. And as I was saying earlier, it was just simply at the time pool tables and swimming pools. And there would be days that were very slow, especially the wintertime. And only getting commission, it was like, okay, what do you do during the day? And besides sitting and waiting, I just decided to go ahead and get some paint out of the paid-out drawer. And we painted, my friend and I, actually, who became my best man in my wedding. That's how we met. He was a salesman also, and he went to UC. And we painted the restrooms. We cleaned up, fixed, repaired stuff that had nothing to do with being a salesman. And I had people always question me, why would you do that? And it's like, why not?
You weren't getting paid to do these things.
I wasn't getting paid, but I'm sitting there wasting time otherwise. Why not make the time go faster? Why not help? So that's how I sort of always thought, okay, is to simply stay busy and do what I could.
Did you see those things that the bathroom need to be painted? Did you see them, or did somebody say, hey, what about doing this?
No, I still to this day, I don't know if it's an inherited quirky, stupid thing that I have, but I think more people should have it if they want to get ahead. When you walk through whatever building or wherever work that you're at, let your eyes work. Look if there's something on the floor. Look if something is not out. Look at what looks bad. And if you can fix it, fix it. People walk through things. And, of course, now with phones, just like this one.
Yeah. Just like that call.
But with phones, younger generation believes that that's what their entertainment is at work and not work. And that's one thing that I would say to anybody that's young is if you want to get ahead, whether it's the job you're at or a job in the future, actually do the best you can, help out, and actually look for things to do rather than waiting to be told.
Yeah, pay attention, right?
Yes.
Be aware.
Yes.
Have your head up. But it's also, I think you need to be interested in doing a good job, too, and caring about the place.
Yes.
Because that's probably how you see those items.
Right.
When you're going to the restroom and you're like, oh, these walls are dirty. This isn't very nice. This probably isn't nice for other people to come into. Hey, I'd like to come into a nicer bathroom. How about we paint it? That's the things that happen, right?
That's what went through my head. And like I said, I didn't even ask.
Yep. So what happens after managers and owners and executives see someone consistently acting in that manner?
Well, I think sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's timing. And just because you do what's right doesn't mean you're going to be successful. But it's certainly a good start. As I was there, I actually went from a salesman to a buyer, to a manager. What happened is a couple of the minority owners actually quit. And eventually, the gentleman who owned it, Bill Watson, he retired, and it was an opportunity for myself and another individual, Jim Kathman, for us to see if we could buy it and take it over. So,
how long did you work in the business until that opportunity arose?
I started in 73. My future partner started it in 75, but I started in 73. And Jim and I actually were able to buy it in 1984.
So 11 years later. 11 for you, 9 for him.
Yes. And actually, we sold it in 2006 to my partner's son, who is Eric, who operates and owns it currently.
They've gone through some even further expanding even,
yes.
right, tremendously since.
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you learn? Like if we were sitting around a fire and whether your drink of choice, whether it's a water or some other drink of choice, and I said, hey, is there a big principle that you learned from those years of leadership? So the first 11 years as the employee, there's a lot of things you learned. You're growing, you're compounding your knowledge, you're getting better, you're probably spending time in all the areas of the business, and you're becoming well-rounded. But from 1984 until 2006. That's a big spectrum. And so that is, 22 years?
Right.
So those 22 years, if today you were sitting in front of a bunch of people the same age that Don was when he started out as an employee. I know we gave him some advice in the meeting, but what's the thing, not advice, but that you learned in those next 22 years of ownership? Is there a big takeaway that you ever sit back and you're reading a book or you have a moment?
Well, one is that you always can learn. There's just because you've learned something, there's something to continue to learn as you go through the same business or other businesses. There's always growth opportunities. There's always better ways, fancy, whether it's technology or, and I'm not the most sophisticated technical genius, okay? But you still got to use it. And there's all kinds of things. When I first started, the very first year, 1973, did our first year in 1974. We did $1 million in sales. When we sold the Cincinnati location, we were actually doing $33 million in sales.
That's a little bit of an increase.
So quite a change, and plus the additional stores. And I will tell you, Eric has done a fabulous job of taking it to the next level with the expansion. Obviously, you probably have seen and noticed all the indoor furniture. We never even thought of it. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we had the space, and that's why he had to double the size.
Expand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have a couple passions that I'm excited to get into today. We talked about cars a little bit, and then we have a shared experience. It's funny how in life we can be living these parallel lives, not even know individuals, and then we can sit here over a conversation and realize, like, oh, we both drove some cars
Right.
at Charlotte.
Yes.
Right? That was neat to share that experience.
Yes.
I don't think I've come across anyone else who has, and be able to share that. But where'd this passion for cars come from, starting back with that Pontiac Firebird and the Indianapolis 500 and all that?
I don't know. First of all, like I said, my first car was a used custom 500 Ford that my parents sort of picked out, and it was the cheapest thing we could find that ran. And so I had that, and I wasn't happy. So my first, I guess, real excitement was when I got my first car myself on my own. And it was one of those fastback Mustangs. It was like the Mach 1, but it was cheaper because it didn't have a decal and the extra stuff. But having that, I obviously like fast cars. I like cars that are cool looking. And that was my pride and joy.
I'm assuming you paid cash for that fastback.
No, but I did finance it for 2 years.
There you go.
Yes, I do remember that. And I was still working at the candy shop at the time.
19, 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah. Growing up, there's some other shared similarities. You didn't grow up in a financially strong household, right?
No.
Money wasn't present.
No.
Did that help you?
Probably. I guess growing up spoiled is a disadvantage in some ways. Because I remember my parents' car, it broke down and it was gone. They had to borrow money, $500 from my aunt, in order to get a car just to get us around. So, when you are doing that, you don't have a lot of money.
Mm-hmm. How do you gain the confidence when you come from that place? How do you gain the confidence to become the Don that you became and build the life you've built?
Well, there was a little bit of luck of picking the right job. I didn't know it at the time, but the sales job was a good job. A lot of hours, a lot of work, but it was a good job. Surprisingly, my first full year, I was able to make a little bit more than my dad made after all of his lifetime working night shift at a meatpacking company. So I was very lucky, very fortunate.
But so let me push back on the luck and the fortune thing. Let me push back because did every salesperson at Watson's perform at your level?
I was average. I wasn't the best. I wasn't the worst.
Okay.
I mean,
but there were people who didn't perform at that level.
Yeah, I mean, I was, like I said, just an average salesperson.
Yeah.
I did well. The job was a good start. It was a good start.
It was a good opportunity, right?
Yes.
See, that's what I'm getting at is, what do we say about the folks that were just as lucky, that were given the same opportunity you were given, but didn't do the same thing with it?
True. I mean, my partner did the same thing, and we actually merged together at the time of the purchase. Mm-hmm. He worked his butt off. He was in service, and he worked his butt off also. And we had the same philosophy, same upbringing, and like I said, it actually sort of merged. That it was obvious that if he was going to sell the business, we wanted it.
You had some shared values with him. So it's you're allowed to yell at me and disagree, right? You're one generation ahead, but I just think when this luck thing shows up, there's fortune and opportunity, but so many people don't do anything with it, and they think luck didn't show up for them.
Well, you start off with a little bit of asking how hard was it or whatever.
Yeah.
At the time, this is something that I think will make sense. If you don't have any money and you are trying to purchase a company, and there's a lot of story to that, but at the time, I told my parents, and I told my in-laws, I told her parents, and they were scared to death for me and for us.
In 1984.
Yes. And I simply said to them, I said, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Actually, we had bought a house, modest. It was not, if you file bankruptcy, I'm not going to lose this because there's not much equity in it. Mm-hmm. I didn't have money to speak of. I said, the downside is I file bankruptcy. I don't have anything to lose. The upside is as grand as you can guess, okay? So when you're making a decision like that, if you don't have a lot to lose, it was real easy to make. Mm. So the hard part was to find the money.
Mm. So how'd you do that? How'd you go about that?
Well, after 1 year of negotiating, and the price doubling, okay, we finally made a deal because we couldn't go to the bank at the time, that the owner would do a promissory note with a couple of stipulations that he would get a percentage of the profit. He would get a consulting fee, and he would get interest and principal for 10 years.
That's a hell of a deal as long as he's handing it over to the right guys.
So we did it, and we were fortunate enough, and his lawyers wrote the contract. But the first year we did amazing. We had a great year. We were able to pay extra above and beyond what the document, our contract stated. And we paid extra, and at that point, we went to the bank and said, bank, why don't you give us the money so we can pay him off and not have to pay him the
interest
extra.
For 9 years.
And they did, and we did, and that's how we ended up getting the money.
So what's the moral of all that then? Because the bank wouldn't give you the money, so you still cut a deal. Now, it cost you more that first year,
yes,
paying him than it would have the bank, but you did what you had to do.
A lot, yes.
Right?
Yes.
You did what you had to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, people have asked me, well, of course, a lot of people have asked me to loan them money to do that. But, the SBA is an option, but I'm not exactly thrilled. It's a lot of red tape. It's a lot of luck, and it's like all I can say is good luck. But finding something that is sort of clever, such as a person doing it for you or paying them, asking a friend or relative or an associate for a loan. There are ways of doing it. Just because you don't have the money, think outside the box and find a way.
If you were to ever fund something like that, if someone were to come to you, what would be your decision-making process as the investor when they were to come? Let's say they came to you and said, I need $500,000 for this thing.
Well, I've never done that much.
But what if that happened? What would be your decision?
I have done it for two people.
Okay.
Two individuals that I have loaned money to start their own businesses. And one, they were obviously close. Two, is the business made sense. It totally, I was sold. I mean, if you're going to do that, you got to have a good plan. It's got to make sense, at least to me, if I'm the one that's going to put the money in. And you want to assume that you're going to get the money back.
Well, that's a big assumption. That's a big assumption.
And both worked out beautifully. Yeah.
Is it what's the biggest factor? Is it about the people? Is it about the people that are going to operate the business, or is it about the business?
You certainly both. I believe it's both. You got to have some trust in the person, but you also have to make that sure that you think the business makes sense.
Yeah. So they both worked out.
Yes, beautifully.
Okay. Who knows? Maybe people listening. Hey guys, you know how to get a hold of him now. Go find him on LinkedIn.
You're not going to find me there.
Uh-oh. Where are we going to find you then? Come to EnterTRAINment Junction. Is that where we're going to find you? So what about this business about trains? Where did this come from? And all of a sudden you open up in Westchester this awesome facility that's everything trains.
Right.
Where in the world did this fascination and this passion for trains come from?
My mom and dad always had American Flyer Christmas trains under the Christmas tree. So probably I was either my 5th or 6th birthday, I got my first train, electric train. And as I got older, I wanted to do modeling in HO. And we got a table. My dad's idea of a train track was 2 ovals. That was not necessarily my idea of a train layout. And once I had gotten married, and we got married in 1975, I got our first house in 77. First thing in the basement was an HO layout. And it took forever. But so I've always loved trains. And I am a member of the Garden Railway, the Greater Cincinnati Garden Railway Society, which is a lot of members that love garden railways or have a garden railway.
What is that?
It's a train that's about 1/24 scale, maybe 8 inches high, and they're made for indoors or outdoors. Most trains are not for outdoors, and so these are. And got involved in the club and having a garden railway layout. And so I've always just loved it. Having a garden with trains and a water fountain, babbling brook that sounds, people come over. An interesting story. When I had HO trains in my basement, if any friends or people that came over for the first time, they would look at it and say, "Oh, that's really cool. Watch it for 5 minutes." And they were done. Now, train people will stay for hours. But when you have train outside with plants and garden, literally people come over for a party, and they didn't want to leave the water and the trains running through the garden. everybody started liking trains, okay? And they didn't want to leave it, which I found very interesting. So what happened is in 2004, the president of the Garden Railway Club in Cincinnati asked me or mentioned to me, wouldn't it be fun to build an indoor train layout? And I replied, yeah, it'd be a lot of fun, but who would be stupid enough to buy a building to put it in?
Who would be?
And at the time, I didn't know of anybody. Well, once we realized that I was going to retire in 2006, so all of a sudden that thought came back to me in 2005. Okay, could that happen? And I worked with our club and volunteers and was able to put together enough information to go ahead and do it. And so that's how it came about.
So you were the guy.
I was the one stupid enough to buy a building to put trains in. Yes.
Are you happy 18 years later here? That
yes,
you did?
I loved it. I love every minute of it. There was just yesterday a pass holder. I was busy. I was in a meeting, but she asked for me, or her son did, Carter. And we met 3 weeks ago. Every Thursday they come. And I asked about going, if he wanted to see the underneath of the layout. And he said, sure. So I took him in under the ground, under the table, look at. And he asked a lot of questions. He was excited. And so came back out. And I said, well, if you come back next Thursday, Carter, you just tell somebody that you were looking for Don and that you would like to do another tour somewhere else. He came back, and we went to another location in the layout. And then they came back yesterday, but I was in a meeting. So I owe him a totally different experience next week if they show up.
So this is a substantial operation. If there's this many tours and behind the stage and under the track tours, it's substantial.
Well, the layout itself, if you're not familiar, is 25,000 square feet. It's actually larger than the Guinness World Book of Records in Hamburg, Germany, by 1,000 feet, even though we cheat by using large trains. They're never using small trains. So that's why they are the world record. And for people, our competitor being in Hamburg, Germany is not really a competitor.
It's a long flight.
So, obviously when we decided to do this, I wanted something for everybody, hence the name EnterTRAINment Junction. We have a large play area for pass holders to let the little ones, it's perfect for, 2 years, 1.5 to 10-year-olds. We have a railroad museum, a marble museum. Our marble museum happens to be the world's largest in the world, worth over $750,000. Most people don't know this, but we have the world's largest Thomas Toy Train Museum. We have a fun house, which is a blast. We get a lot of buses of Amish families, and they love the fun house. They have a blast. And then the layout itself, and of course we have a gift shop and a hobby shop and a cafe. So it's quite an experience. It's a lot of fun. I love meeting people. That's really what it's all about, is making people's days.
You probably, I'm assuming that the pay isn't anything near what you received from owning Watson's.
I would say you're right.
It's a passion project. That's what I said earlier, right?
Yes. I was fortunate enough and blessed to be able to do this from the prior. It does not,
doesn't drive the same revenue.
It doesn't drive the same revenue at all. Yeah. That's for sure.
Is it as satisfying?
Both were totally different. You're dealing with totally different parameters and business and issues. But this is as good as it gets. Meeting people. I brought with me today an article, and it was a great article.
Let's see it, if you're talking about it. From USA Today.
And this actually was from a YouTube, that they live in Canada. It's called Kids Toys Play. And they're really big into trains, toys, and Thomas. And
New Zealand.
The family that came, but the family I'm talking about is from actually Canada.
Okay.
They're the YouTubers. And so what happened is they came to visit, and it went viral. Totally, there's probably well over 5 million views 2 years ago to now. And we've had people come from all over our country because of the YouTube. Mm-hmm. But so much it was exciting is the week before Christmas, one of our special employees, Lindsay, she was on Facebook with this family from New Zealand. And their son, 2 years ago, when he was 4, begged and pleaded to come see us because he watched the video every day. And they said, no, we can't go to Cincinnati. New Zealand is not close. It's like
the furthest away, probably.
Yes, you can't get much farther. And this family had never been to America. And 2 years later, the son wore him down. And Lindsay told him on Facebook about things maybe they could do. And so they came and went to New York City, spent 5 days in New York City, spent a full day in Cincinnati to come to EnterTRAINment Junction. Next morning left and spent 5 days in Disney World.
But the entire draw for the trip was to
come see. The only reason they came is because of EnterTRAINment Junction. So New York City and Disney World can thank me.
Second, third place for the purpose, yeah.
They had to spend a lot of money for their son to see our train layout, thanks to a YouTube.
Yeah, what's that feel like to be?
I mean, well, obviously everything was comped. I was excited. I would love to have met them. They were great. And it was, I mean, that makes your day to see how that works. Mm-hmm. And the kid was so excited.
Mm-hmm. So. I bet you have those opportunities often, though. There's a lot of smiles that happen from
from New Zealand,
but similar smiles from kids, right?
Every day. Yeah, every day. But we had just in the last 2 weeks, family from Connecticut, New Jersey, and Nashville saw the same YouTube, and they made it a 1 day or 2 day trip, to come and visit us and go back home.
What do you make of this world now with social media and YouTube and Instagram? What do you make of this world? Because even in 2006 when you created this idea, I got into real estate in 2005. This world of social media was not here. The way we did business was still the old traditional ways.
Right.
What's your mind make of this?
My daughter still makes fun of me. Okay. My Facebook, I have never, ever, ever seen in my life.
Do you want to see it?
If you want sometime.
Okay, we can pull it back.
It is 100% handled by my daughter.
Okay.
Part of me, I missed that whole segment.
Social media?
Yes, I'm 70, and actually at Watson's, if you wanted to know how unsocial media I am, when I text or email, it takes a while because I still go with the 2 little fingers back and forth. Okay?
Do we need to get the flip phone out for you, Don? Is that what we need to do?
No, I'm not that bad, but it is one of those things where obviously when you own a company, you have accounting people, you have programmers, you have IT people, and everything I needed and wanted, I could push a button and go to a menu and get what I wanted. And so
without this new world, the New Zealand people don't find out about you. The Connecticut people don't find out about you, right?
You have to have social media, obviously.
Yeah.
I can tell you what's bad. Our e-commerce site,
Yeah.
it's terrible. I can't compete with the big boys, okay? But we do sell a lot in the store, and we do a lot of e-commerce business, and we do some some e-commerce business, but we also do a lot on eBay.
Okay. That's e-commerce.
And
Yeah.
but yeah, I will be the first to say that I'm really done when it comes to a lot of that stuff.
Well, you've got a daughter to take care of it. She recently got you out to a Elton John concert. We were talking about that.
Yes.
What's how's the spice of life at 70, and having a daughter and next generations, and being able to reflect back on that life? How's that feel?
We were just out to dinner with them last night. She's 34 and married, and she loves calling or texting 10 times a day. So, and it's sort of nice to be able to be close in that way. I always say, and it's probably will offend a few people out there that are young.
I don't care. I offend people all the time. Go ahead.
But most people, including my daughter, but most people that are 35 and younger, when we grew up and we were young, people smoked cigarettes and spent a lot of money on cigarettes, and you looked at the money that was wasted. Well, now all the younger generation will never, ever buy, and I'm generalizing, so for those out there, any kind of knickknacks or souvenirs or any goofy gifts that collectibles. I know we have tons at our house, but the younger generation wants nothing to do with collectibles.
And you're mad about it.
No. It's just I'm stating a fact. They will spend money on Starbucks, on Uber Eats. They will love to take trips and enjoy themselves, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a totally different type of generation.
Life and experience.
Yes.
Would you want them to be more like you, or you're okay? Like, go live your life, or you're just...
what I don't like to see is people that don't have a lot of money wasted on money delivering their Starbucks or their food. I hate to see that. I could be the next Dave Ramsey, I guess, on that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, no. Enjoying yourself. Obviously, I think that's wonderful. You should.
Yeah.
Everybody should enjoy their life. It's quite a difference in generations.
Yeah. You brought up Dave Ramsey, so he's all about paying off your bills, right, and not having debt and all that and stuff. You being a business owner, there's a reason for debt in business. There's good debt and bad debt.
100%.
Right?
I would say I was, even in business and in life, I didn't like debt.
Yeah.
If you want to make big money, sometimes you got to go in debt.
You got to leverage.
There is business sense that obviously says that.
Yeah.
I personally was more of a non-debt person.
Yeah.
I like to pay it off as soon as possible.
More concerned. You think that probably came from how you grew up?
Probably.
Right?
Probably.
Not having a lot, protecting it. So was it harder to make money or to keep it once you made it?
I think when you have money, you want to make sure you don't do something stupid to lose it. So you're more careful.
Yeah. And that might not be great.
You could lose out.
Yeah.
You can lose out opportunities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the conversation you had with your in-laws and your parents back in 1984, you're like, what do I have to lose?
Yep.
So you took the risk.
Yep.
So, yeah, what do we do with that? What do we do with that later in life? How do we continue to challenge ourselves to take the risks?
Right.
What do we do with that?
Well, at 70 now, I don't look at more new risk.
Risk averse.
Like I said, I've always enjoyed business. I enjoy helping people. I have spoke at Paul Christo Ray High School for quite a few years. They would invite me down on days when they were doing like entrepreneurship, and I loved it. I love talking to people about it.
What's the biggest principle you shared with them? Like if you talk to a class of people about entrepreneurship.
Well, one of the same stories is almost like if you were at McDonald's. I don't care what position, do it better than anybody else because it's not that complicated. And don't worry about your peers making fun of you of working hard. Instead of being on your phone, work. Expect some reward from it, and if not, then, like I said, move on. But that's just, again, anybody and anywhere, any position, there is opportunity. And if you don't see it and don't get it within a reasonable time and you get bored and tired, then, like I said, find another job. I personally have had 3 jobs in my life. I've owned many businesses, but I went from selling candy to selling swimming pools and pool tables and everything else in between, and playing with trains. And I've owned escape rooms. I've owned a factory in China one time. I've had a whole drawer full of ideas that have come that I've looked at possibly doing. Some I did, some I didn't. And I guess one of the things is if you don't have to do something, I buy a lot of estate sales, especially trains. If you're out there and you don't have to do something, when you say, I will pay this for it, it's simple. You can say yes or no. I don't care. It makes it a lot easier than having to sweat about something or worried about if you're going to get this or do that. At some point, it really doesn't matter when you're trying to do something.
When things don't go well, because no doubt you've been in business, there's things that haven't gone well.
Sure.
When they don't go well, what do you do?
Well, prior to buying Watson's, there was a very rough time, and Bill Watson showed us basically how to handle it, and I learned a lot from that experience. Call your creditors, make a plan, have a payment program, and we came out of it stronger and better than ever, and it was a life lesson learned.
So get on the phone and deal with things head on.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Because relationships matter.
Yes.
Yeah. What about treating other humans well?
I don't think there's a question there. I mean, I think that should be normal. I don't see how you don't. There's people I may disagree with, but I don't hate them.
Yeah.
I mean,
what was your worst day being a business owner? Your worst day?
That's a tough one. I mean, we've gone through making mistakes, but worst day.
Is it having to let an employee go? Is it having to call a supplier and cancel huge contracts? Is it when your biggest customer calls and says we're not going to buy anymore?
That's just life. I mean, there's a lot of those kind of little things that go on. It's not like once in a life. It's maybe once in a week or a month that you can have something go wrong.
See, there's something about your mindset. You actually said those little things happen all the time. See, the average human brain on the things I just talked about, people don't see those as little. But that's how your brain processes them. It's a part of the
You work through it.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing that stands out is one of the dumbest things I did in planning EnterTRAINment Junction. I thought it was a brainstorm. Now, it wasn't my worst day, I made a dollar mistake. I wasted money, and it was a dumb idea. I thought it was a brilliant idea. Okay. But it turned out to be a dumb idea, and we had to change it. So
What that cost you? Whatever that thing was, what did it cost you?
Well, the people that have been know our fun house. And when we first opened up in August of '08, I came up with the brilliant idea to have a fun house that was multi-purpose. And so the design firm who designed it and the company that built it and installed it, everybody did what they were supposed to. They listened to me. And my idea was to have a fun house, and then it goes into Halloween, and you use as much of the fun house as you could, and then you turn it into a haunt. And it was going to be a haunted house, really scary at nighttime, and a day-friendly one. And then you changed it up by moving maybe 30% of everything, and it was going to be a Christmas. And we had actors during Halloween, and we had actors during Christmas. Probably 50 during Halloween and probably 20 during Christmas to put this extravaganza on. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. But the labor to convert it over from season to season, and the labor to pay the people to do it was in excess of $100,000. And when you didn't make money off of it, it was a total waste of $100,000. So our third year in, we made it a permanent funhouse, and we have a permanent Christmas that's still there. And then the Halloween became a temporary one that we put up in the expo room. So I utilized all the pieces that I had purchased and paid for. But I said it was well in excess of $100,000
For
the
3
third
years.
year. Yeah.
So that's a $200,000 to $300,000 learning moment.
Yes, it was an expensive. I didn't know what I was talking about. Moment. Yes.
What do you take from that? So, do those things just happen, or has that improved you? Because you thought, as you said, it was a brilliant, great idea.
Right.
It just happened not to be. Were there not the right people around you giving you the right advice? Were you not listening?
No, that was my advice. That was my idea. And I wasn't thinking of the labor cost in the equation. I was thinking of the sales response to the product, and I was off.
It was probably about making sure that you use the facility year-round, too.
Well, we do. Obviously, Christmas is the 6 weeks that almost, I guess, 40% of the sales are in. That's
like
6
retail.
weeks.
That's like the old retail days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you have did you say the largest exhibit of Thomas the Train?
Yes, it's in the kids' play area and the Marble Museum. Family in Kansas City has put it on loan for us and to let the public enjoy it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is that a big draw for the number of folks that come through?
There are people that come in to see the Marble Museum. It's not large.
Okay.
But there are marble lovers out there.
What do you think the next 10 years of Don's life is going to be? I'm assuming you're a planner.
Well, I would like to find my general manager, and I would like to retire soon. So, to be honest with you, I would like to find somebody that would take it over and run it and purchase it over the next year or so.
How do you go about that?
I have a broker, word of mouth, and we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Are you a determined individual that you're going to make that happen?
I hope so.
Yeah. What are you going to do with retirement? You've accomplished and done so much in life. What are you going to do with retirement?
Probably I'll be still involved in some school stuff and talking to people, and I'll still be doing something.
Yeah.
I'll still be doing something.
Do you have any hobbies, or is your work your hobby?
Work is my hobby. I still, even though I don't need to work, I haven't needed to work, I still work 6 days a week. And I know most people think it's nuts and stupid, but it's fun.
Who cares what people think, right? Who cares what they think? Because if you would have listened to all the people, all the naysayers in life, and all the folks that think like they knew better than you, you wouldn't be where you're at.
I mean, I enjoy it. I mean, if I want to do something, I can do it. If I want to take off a day or a week or whatever, I can do it. So that's really all the freedom that I need.
There you go. There's the freedom.
Is.
That's what I talk about all the time. Because what that is, that's freedom, but that's financial freedom.
Right.
Right? You get to come and go and do as you choose.
Right.
You owned a factory in China. What in the heck? I mean, I wouldn't think, me hearing that, I'm like, the EnterTRAINment Junction wasn't the craziest idea. A factory in China? What was going through your mind?
That was let's try it. Wasn't a lot of money outlay. I will say, and I have to rate all the different things that I've done, but we made money, but it certainly wasn't worth it after 6 or 7 years of doing it.
The time.
We actually ended up making our own swimming pool above ground skimmers and sold them to, we imported 3 or 4 containers and sold them to a lot of people, including ourselves and all of our buying group. And it was a great value, good quality, good price. I'm not sorry I did it, but can I say it was a success and I made a lot of money? No, I made money, but it wasn't worth 6 years of my time and effort.
There's something about going and finding a good supplier, right, and letting them do that thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did find somebody to literally take it over, bought the tooling, and continued making it.
And you still bought the product from them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it worked out perfectly. But
do you think that you developed a better skimmer with knowing what you needed than otherwise was on the market?
I've been so far out of it, I don't know in the last 10, 15, 20 years if it's still even being made.
Okay.
But at the time,
yeah,
it definitely was a better skimmer.
Was this in the 90s? Is when you did this? 2000?
Yes, it would be in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before China was really exploding
Yes.
in the economy it is now.
Yeah.
How many times did you go over there?
Just twice.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your cultural feeling about going to China in the 90s? What'd you think when you were there?
I've been here since for pleasure. At the time, in the 90s, we went into the, whatever you call it, the work zone, where it's near Hong Kong, but it's where all the factories are. We didn't need we didn't really need anything except a visa to get in.
No special entry?
No. You couldn't leave that area once you got into that work industrial zone. I forgot the name of what it's called.
You couldn't go out into the rest of the country and do
that?
No,
you couldn't leave there. There was stop points and guards. But it was different. The factories, at that time, you could find good factories, bad factories. If you wanted something cheap, they can make it for you. But the problem is it would be cheap and garbage.
Quality, yeah.
They could provide almost anything. Again, you have to have a person over there that watches it, oversees it, and makes sure that the quality is correct. I didn't get to see China. There's stories that probably would be inappropriate. It was different for sure. And everybody was polite, nice. So I enjoyed the trip. Actually, going forward, my daughter, she loves trips. She's been to, I can't remember, I think I've been to 32 countries, and I think she's been to, I think she's ahead of me.
Wow. 34, what a wife.
She loves to travel.
Yep.
And my wife's mom was in nursing home with Alzheimer's and dementia. So her and I went over to China and Japan and spent basically 2 weeks and had a great time. I was shocked. This is only my opinion. I'll qualify that. We only got to spend 3 days in Japan. We had a guide. The train was fantastic. The bullet train. The mountains were fantastic. We only got to see 2 cities. I wish I could have seen other places, but we saw too many temples. After you take your shoes off, and after you look at Zen gardens, and after you are there looking at nothing, it does, after 5 or 6 temples, it was enough. It was like going out west and seeing 6 national parks with red rock.
See enough.
After 6, okay.
That was the number?
I believe it was like 6 temples.
You're
Yes.
like, I've seen enough.
Yeah. And but it was only 3 days, and nothing wrong. It was beautiful, but it wasn't exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just okay. The gardens, everything was it was beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Going to China, I mean, I was surprised. The best way I can describe is if you've never been to Disney World, and so you go to a foreign country, and you take the rides out of it. Everything that we did was like going to a Disney World. The Panda Park, the Great Wall, the cities of Beijing and Shanghai, their train system, the terracotta warriors. When you see that place, you'll never forget it. Unbelievable. We took a boat ride down their river, which I forget.
Gangzi, whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Gangzi or something.
Yes.
I should know this.
The Z,
Look at that.
It's a Z in it.
Yeah. Do you know what that's? You know what it is, Dave? Yeah.
But anyway, their dam where they get their hydroelectric. Yes. Every place we went was like seeing a Disney, but in a different format. Everything about it, I loved. They have a Disney store outside one of their high rises, and something came out. I can't remember what. But something was famous, and it was a line around the block to get into the Disney store there.
When you say everything's Disney, is it just a big, everything's big, everything's theatrical, everything's putting a show on?
There was a Disney store, is what I'm talking about then. When I was referring to Disney-like, Disney-esque, it's wow. Nothing to do with Disney. If I don't want anybody to think it.
Just feels significant everywhere you go.
It's a wow moment. Everything looks like it's a wow, and it's worth seeing.
Okay.
Yep.
So you recommend going? Maybe not right now at this moment.
Well, there's places I wouldn't recommend going right now, but I would not be afraid of China at all right now. Okay. No, I would not. Her and I forgot what hotel, but we left at 9:00 at night and walked over to this big river, whatever the river is in Shanghai, and just felt normal, 100% safe. Just her and I, from 10:00 to 9:00 to 10:00, and
they just might not let you leave the country.
Well, I mean, let's face it. There is a difference in their country.
Yeah.
Now Russia would be another story.
Yeah, you might not leave there.
We went to St. Petersburg.
Okay.
On a cruise.
Okay.
We were very emphatically told. We went to a couple places with a guide. We're not allowed to leave the guide. When we got back to the cruise ship, we wouldn't be allowed to get off the cruise ship to buy postcards. Wow. Everything is controlled. And when you hear that there are listening to you in the hotel rooms, that would not shock me one bit.
Yeah, you felt it.
You were not allowed to move. I mean, you were watched.
Yeah.
Yes.
We take it for granted. I think what we have, the freedoms we have in this country, unfortunately we take it for granted.
It's true.
Right. What? So the next place of your life here, you're going to be retired. You're going to sell off and transition your passion to someone else. You have more travel coming. Maybe you'll get back in a fast car again. I bet you have a personally fast car.
No, I sold it. I had a hip replacement. And when I had the hip replacement, I said, now I should have probably maybe changed my mind. But I got rid of it 2 years ago. I got rid of it.
Was the clutch the issue with the left foot, or was it the gas pedal on the right?
It was my right hip replacement.
Okay. So you couldn't get it all the way to the floor, and it made you mad.
Well, I didn't know that I would be able to get in and out of it so easily.
Okay. Sat low. Okay. Was it a Corvette?
Oh, yeah.
Was it one of the mid-engine ones or no? One of the rear
No,
engine?
it was older.
Okay,
Yeah,
the front.
yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
You sold it.
Yeah.
What'd you feel that day when you sold it?
I actually knew I was going to miss it, but I wasn't driving it all that much. And if it sits in the garage for 3 months during the winter and you only use it, once a week or once every few weeks, I just thought it was just time to say goodbye.
You seem like a practical guy.
Yeah.
Right?
I probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
You still live in Anderson or no?
No, went from Anderson before I got married. Lived in apartments in Eastgate, Tri-County. And then our first home was in Loveland. Second home was in Sharonville. And our third home is in Montgomery.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. Is that where it'll all end in Montgomery, or will it be somewhere like Sarasota, Florida?
No.
Or no?
No, I have tons of friends that live part-time in Florida. I don't want the headache. If I want to go down there, I'll go down there and get a hotel.
Or rent a house for a week.
or whatever. I don't need more houses. And the next step, as long as my health holds out and I don't go nuts or something, the next step is very simple. It's backyard is the Gate of Heaven Cemetery. And so that's the next logical
That's
step.
the next logical.
Yes.
If you were going to start another business in 2024, what would it be? You're a guy with ideas. What would it be?
I never thought about it recently. You got to think of what is the next trend, what new ideas are coming up, what can you do bigger and better, right now, I'm in amazement. There's these cookie places in Cincinnati. I won't name, but there's a couple of them. And they're busy at 10 o'clock at night. And it's like, were they selling weed? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah.
I don't understand it. And they're open, till like 1 o'clock in the morning. They're good. I tried them. Okay, they're good. But I don't understand it.
Yeah.
There are all kinds of places now opening up. There's a new place off of Fields Erdel that sells donuts.
Mm-hmm. Donut shops are the thing, man.
Come
on, Don. You got to get on.
Has a line out the door every day, including 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Hey, listen. There's a company down here called Moonrise Donuts, not Sunrise.
Right.
Moonrise.
Yeah.
They're open at night.
I don't understand it. Now, again,
You don't like a good donut?
Yeah, I love them. You can. That's why I'm fat. But I don't understand the business concept.
Yeah.
But somebody knew something.
So pay attention to what's happening culturally. Right? Get plugged in.
Yes. Yeah. Back in actually not high school, the first year of UC, I dreamt of an idea. Now this is stupid, but I thought of a clothespin that was like a typical clip that you know of today. I called it the chip clip, and it should have chip clip on it. And I'm not sure you could use it on pretzels and everything else, but it was a big old monster clip like a clothespin. And God, not much longer after that. Every size, shape, color, I mean, that was.
Why didn't you create the chip clip?
I actually looked into it. It just, I just thought it was so small, so simple, so stupid, and I wasn't given any direction. And I didn't know how to make it really big time that you can make money. But yeah, I mean, ideas come up all the time, and so if you have an idea, develop a plan. And what's the next new thing, or what's the next business to get into? All you got to do is look at businesses that are successful, or a business that's maybe not, but what could you change to make it successful? That's the kind of things to look out for.
What's the question that I should ask Don that I didn't?
I have no idea.
You're a smart enough guy. What's the deep-seated stuff? What's the thing we'd all want to know that we don't know? What's the secret? What's the good secret? I don't need to know the bad secret. We don't want to know those. What's the good secret? There's got to be something. This is a long, well-lived life. That's had kids. That's traveled to 30-something countries. That's driven on racetracks around the country. That's had sports cars. I mean, come on, man. You own a place the largest place or second largest place in the world of indoor trains. You're not that normal, Don.
I just feel, I mean, yes, I've worked hard. Yes, you have to be in the right place at the right time. I feel blessed. Things have worked out. I know it's just not all luck, because you do have to work at it. And you have to have fun. I don't know. A lot of people don't have fun working. And every once in a while you do hear that from somebody. It's not work if you're having fun. And if you can find that, I mean, I think you're a very lucky person then.
Do you think you find the fun because of your outlook and your positive mindset and your mentality? Have you always been an optimistic, positive guy?
I try to be. I can't say that it's always 100%.
Talk to all your employees, right? Talk to some of them over the years.
I can't say that that's 100%, but I try.
Yeah. Because how could you have fun if you're not positive and optimistic?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Looking for the bright side and the better things in life, and
right.
Things are always going to work out. Keep your head down.
Right.
Right. Work hard. What made the biggest difference in your life? So as you reflect, and you're going to have a little extra time in retirement, what made the biggest difference? Was it a person? Was it a mentor? Was it an experience? What made the biggest difference in your life?
Well, one mentor was the president of Watson's at the time that I was a salesperson. He quit. He was one of the minority owners who quit, who became my stockbroker. And we stayed in touch, and I could say he was one. Bill Watson obviously was one. And my partner, or I should say my ex-partner at Watson's, Jim Kathman, was a huge mentor with me on every aspect of business and personal. Those would be some of the ones that
made the difference.
Made a big difference. Yeah.
What do you think, if you can reflect on them and you can rely on the experience you had with those three people? And if I said, "Hey Don, what makes a good mentor? Like, if we're going to go out here and make a difference in the next generation that's coming up, if we're in influential positions in our 40s, 50s, and 60s, like, what do we need to do to be a good mentor for folks?"
I think they all listen. They all were positive. They all were willing to give ideas and thoughts, whether they agreed or disagreed. I'll tell you, my partner, we may have had from 75 to 2006, may have disagreed maybe 2 or 3 times, but never ever had an argument. And I will say that I know in business, any lawyer will say you should never have a 50-50 ownership. And we did, and it worked perfectly. But that's, again, partly because of luck and the both of us. if you are with somebody that you're going to be fighting with or disagreeing with all the time, you better listen to your lawyer and not have a 50-50 arrangement.
Yeah. But maybe I guess you found the right person, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you knew him for almost 8 or 9 years before you were in
Correct.
business together.
Correct.
So you knew each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I do know about the people that I know well, friends and people close to me that are partners, if you're going to have a partner in business, which I would say steer clear from most partnerships, that's what I've seen. But if you're going to have one, realize it's as important as your marriage.
Right.
It's going to affect your life in the same way.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
What about you have any good friends in life? You don't have to name them, but your partner was a good friend, right?
Yes,
Do you-
obviously.
Do you have a tight group of people? Is it important to?
Oh, I mean, a lot of them, unfortunately, are down in Florida sometimes, but my best man still close. I have several neighbors in our neighborhood that we're very close with. Some people at church that I'm very close with. There are my cousin and some of the people I grew up with. Matter of fact, we only see each other maybe twice a year, but the old subdivision when I was growing up, we moved in at 2 years old over a little place over in Forestville. I still see him twice a year, and we knew each other. I don't remember it. It was 2 years old, but I don't remember it. But we grew up together, so we're still friends.
What's in a good friendship? You can see them, and you haven't seen them for 8 months, but it doesn't matter. You just pick
True.
up right where you left off.
Yeah, I mean, I have quite a few of those that because of Florida or whatever, but it's great to have.
It's part of the spice of life.
Yes.
To have a few of those people.
Yeah.
What are you excited about? You're looking for somebody to purchase the business. What are you excited about? The last question before we let you go. What are you excited about over the next few years? Not just being healthy.
It doesn't make me excited because I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Another hip replacement, maybe. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, things start wearing out on your body, but it's something will work out. Something will happen. I will be involved in something. I can't tell you how excited because I don't know what it is yet. So,
but when you find the thing, you'll be pumped.
Yeah.
And hopefully it's more.
I'll stay busy. I'll do something.
Hopefully it's more exciting than another hip.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
Arriving here at 70, would you have a different relationship with your body? Would you?
That's a good question. My partner with Watson's was a fitness guru. No body fat. Never drank Coke. Was the perfect health
Specimen.
and still is.
Yeah.
But I was not so good. I didn't eat good. Didn't exercise very well. And even when I was in the 40s, okay, I would say, Jim, do you realize you could get hit by a bus just as easily as I could? Now, having said that, now that I'm 70, I wish that I was a little bit closer to the way he was able to manage and be a little bit more fit.
Maybe pay a little more attention to it.
I still walk. I try to get my 10,000 steps in. I still do trails occasionally. And
you took the Warren Buffett path. The Dairy Queen and the Cokes and the McDonald's every day, and you're good, right?
I'm not afraid to eat fast food.
I'm right there with you. Kidding me?
It is. It has gotten me to here.
Yeah.
Again, it's genetic. Partly, it's luck, and it is the way of your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And I am not the worst person at eating and exercise, but I'm certainly far from good.
Yeah. So you're like, screw it. I'm okay with it, Mark.
So
you invoked the cookies, and I didn't say that you were fat. You said it, Don.
Yes,
Come on,
yes.
man. You don't. But so you think it's you're happy with it? You're happy with how life's gone?
yes.
Okay. No regrets.
No. I don't know if I told you that when I was at UC, that I was actually in the DAA program, which was at the time it was called Design, Art, and Architect.
You were supposed to be an architect.
I wanted to be an architect or a graphic designer. And when I was the first quarter of college, the first project, when I turned it in, and I looked compared to my peers, and I looked at what I did compared to what they did, and I said, I need to quit. I need to change course. This is terrible. I can't compete. I'm not going to do it. And I changed immediately to business classes.
Do you think that was the right decision? Was that just a moment, a lack of confidence, a lack of self-esteem, or you really said, I don't have the same talent as these people?
I saw what I enjoyed. I still
like I'm looking at this right here.
At Watson's, we opened stores in many cities. And yes, I got involved with blueprints. I got involved with builders. I got involved with everything. I had an advantage. I understood a lot of stuff. I just wasn't good enough, okay? And so it's helped me to like it. But I just, like I said, saw some of my design work and some of my stuff, and it's like, I don't belong in this.
Yeah.
And I got out. And obviously, it worked out.
Yeah, the message is, though, that
it worked out.
You took action on something else. See, so many people quit something, and it just beats them down, and they can't get back up. You said, no, I just need to do something else.
And for somebody out there that's in college or in high school, and people are pestering you, what do you want to do? What are you going to do? To be honest, you don't have to worry about it in your first year of college. I mean,
time.
you have a direction that you're probably going to try, but if it changes or if it doesn't work out, you still have time.
It's okay.
You don't need to have everything planned out.
Yeah, but just make a decision and do something, though.
Yes.
Right, that's important.
Yes, absolutely.
Thanks for coming in.
Yep.
This was good.
It's been fun.
Yeah, this is
It's been
good.
fun.
You came with all the things like, Mark, don't put me in a corner. Don't put Don in the corner. I said it's going to be great, but it's great to hear these stories from our city. And everybody around knows the name Watson's. And so good job leveling up that brand to the next level so that then Jim's son could come along and buy it and then take it and continue on. I think that's the story of our lives. Like you growing up less financially fortunate, but it was good enough to give you a start. And then you talked about the story about your daughter, about how she's traveled. You've been to 34 countries, and she's been to more. So continuing to level up and build a great life, right, and handing the baton on to others.
Right.
So you've been a good part of this city, and the train. I mean, these things are cool. These things are brands that people know. So we're better for you being around.
Well, thank you.
Stay a few more years.
I hope.
Right.
I hope.
Maybe a few less McDonald's and Cokes. Or not.
I doubt if that'll change.
All right, man. Hey, I really appreciate you sharing with us and coming in today. And maybe you'll have like 2 more people come through and check out some trains because of it.
I hope.
Yeah. What's the best thing that we could buy? Like if we come to the store, what's the most popular thing that someone for 15 or 20 or 30 bucks buys?
Well, our toy store and our train store, there's a lot of people are sort of amazed. We have name brands like Lego, Melissa and Doug, Calico, Playmobil, because everybody knows it and everybody wants it. But we also blend it in with a lot of other things that are weird, unique, specials that makes us very unique to have lots of things to look at. And our prices are very, very reasonable.
That's important to you, I bet. That you brought it up, it's important.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, maybe a couple people will come up and check it out.
Yeah,
and get the Under the Track tour.
Well, anybody that actually, if I'm not busy, and if their son or daughter or mom and dad would like to see a very short visit under the mountains just have them ask for Don, and I'll see if I can do it for him.
We're going up for an Under the Mountains tour, guys. We're going to do some content, so maybe we have the next best YouTube video.
That'd be great.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Great.
All right. Thanks for coming in, Don.
Thanks.
All right, man. Yeah.
Take care.